Hello guys! Today we'll model a teacup in Blender. It's simple, stylized, and perfect for beginners.
Alright, first things first, let's clear the scene. Press A to select everything, then hit Delete to get rid of the default cube and friends. Now let's start building our cup. Press Shift plus A and add a circle. Hit the period key on the numpad to zoom in and focus on it. Switch to the front view with 1 on the numpad. Go into edit mode with Tab, then press 2 for edge select. Press E plus Z to extrude upward. This gives our circle some height. Next, press Ctrl R and use the mouse wheel to add 2 loop cuts. Scale them down a bit with S plus Shift plus Z. This keeps them from stretching on the Z axis. These loops are great for controlling the shape. Now let's shape the base of the cup. Loop select the top loop cut, press S to scale it up a little. Nice. Keep going. Select the top edge loop, press E to extrude, then S to scale it out a bit. Press E plus Z to extrude upward, S to scale up again. Add 2 more loop cuts, scale them out with S plus Shift plus Z, and move them down with G plus Z. Then scale them slightly again to smooth things out. Finally, loop select the top edge once more, extrude upward, E plus Z, scale it out with S, and add a loop cut in the middle with Ctrl R. Perfect! That gives us the basic shape of the cup.
Alright, let's refine the shape a little. Press Alt plus Z to switch into X-ray mode, so we can easily grab vertices through the mesh. Box select the middle row of vertices, press G plus Z to move them upward, and then use S plus Shift plus Z to scale them out a bit. This helps round out the cup. Now grab this loop cut, move it upward slightly, do the same for the next one, and scale them both a bit larger. Nice! The cup is starting to look more natural. Next, let's add a bit of indentation and protrusion for extra detail. Still in X-ray mode, loop select every other vertical edge around the cup. Then Control select to deselect the ones at the base and at the very top. We don't want those. Finally, scale the selected edges inward with S. That gives the cup a subtle, wavy pattern, a tiny touch that makes a big difference. Now, a very important step, let's close off the bottom so our T doesn't magically fall through. In edit mode, loop select the bottom edge and press F to fill it. Then use Ctrl plus B to bevel the edge so it doesn't look too sharp. Let's also add some detail to the base. Loop select this edge ring, bevel it with Ctrl plus B, then press Alt plus E and extrude along normals to give it a little thickness. Time for modifiers. Open the Modifier tab, add a subdivision surface, set the level to 2 for smoothness, and right-click to Shade Smooth. That already looks way better. Finally, add a Solidify modifier above the subdivision. Increase the thickness until it feels right. This makes the cup look like it's made of real ceramic instead of paper-thin geometry.
Okay, time to give our cup a handle, because otherwise it's just a bowl pretending to be fancy. Press Shift plus A and add a plane. Move it into position, then scale it down. Press S plus Y to squash it along the Y-axis. Don't forget to apply the rotation and scale with Ctrl plus A. Always good practice so Blender doesn't freak out later. From the front view, slide it into place. Go into edit mode, select everything, and move it over to the right in the origin point so it sits near the cup's body. This makes the handle much easier to attach later. Now, in X-ray mode, select the right side vertices, press G to move them into place, and start extruding with E. Just keep extruding and shaping along the front view until it curves nicely. Think of it like drawing with Legos. Just block out the shape and we'll smooth it later. Once you're happy with the shape, let's throw some modifiers at it. Add a Solidify modifier to give it thickness, then a Bevel modifier, reduce the amount, crank the angle somewhere between 65 and 90 so it only affects the sharp bits. And finally, add a subdivision surface with 2 levels. Boom! Instant glow up. Now, jump back into edit mode, tweak the handle shape a little so it flows better. The modifiers will make it smooth, but a few manual adjustments really sell the look. For one last touch, bevel this edge with Ctrl plus B to soften it. Then, apply the Solidify modifier with Ctrl plus A and give it a tiny extrusion upwards. It's a small detail, but trust me, it makes the whole handle look way more polished. Think of it like the latte art of modeling. Subtle, but classy. Alright, let's pour some tea into this cup, or at least fake it. We're gonna cheat and just model the surface. Select the cup, jump into edit mode, and grab our trusty top edge loop. Press Shift-D to duplicate it, then hit P and then Selection to separate it into its own object. Now move it up a bit with G plus Z so we can actually see what we're doing. Go back into edit mode, flatten it out with S plus Z plus 0, and press F to fill it in. Then I to inset, and finally drop it back down into the cup with G plus Z. And just like that, we've got ourselves some tea. No kettle required. Looks pretty great, right? Now, quick break. If you're enjoying this tutorial, give the video a like. If you're not, well, hit dislike. I can take it. But most importantly, leave a comment and tell me what you'd like to see me make next. And hey, if you're watching this without subscribing, seriously, what are you doing with your life? Hit that subscribe button, mate. Now, to add a nice saucer, Shift plus A, add a circle, and from the little panel at the bottom left, let's drop the vertices down to 8. Go to Edit Mode, select everything, and here we go. E plus Z to extrude it upwards, S to scale it up, E to extrude up again, and S to scale it out once more. Fantastic. Now just G plus Z to move it down. Next, let's give it some structure. Control plus R to add a loop cut right in the middle, then S to scale it down and give the saucer some definition. For the bottom, select the edge loop, hit F to fill, and I to inset it, nice and clean. Time for modifiers, the best part. Add a solidify modifier and increase the thickness just enough. Add a bevel, reduce the amount, and increase the angle just like before. And finally, yes, you guessed it, add a subdivision surface to smooth everything out. Now let's refine the shape. In edit mode, select that middle edge loop, hit S to scale it up just a bit, and that gives us a beautiful curve near the bottom. Looking classy. Finally, let's add a nice sugar cube. Shift plus A, add a cube, then hit S to scale it down. Don't forget, apply the scale so the modifiers behave properly. Now, in the Modifier tab, add a bevel modifier and increase the segments. Then, crank up the segments, right-click and shade smooth, and boom, a cute little sugar cube. Place it on the saucer near the cup. I know it's a bit tricky to position it nicely, but you got this. When you're happy with it, hit Shift plus D to duplicate it and scatter a couple around. Now it's looking sweet, literally. Next up, let's set up the camera. Choose a camera view you like, press Shift plus A, Camera. Press numpad 0 to jump into camera view. Use walk navigation, press Shift plus Grave or Enable Walk in the View menu and move the camera into place. Frame the cup, saucer, and sugar cubes. Leave a little negative space so the composition breathes. Lock the camera once you like the framing. Now head over to the Render tab. Switch from Eevee to Cycles. It gives better lighting and reflections. Under Device, pick GPU if you have a compatible card. This speeds rendering. For quick previews, lower viewport render samples to a small number like 8 to 32, depending on your PC. Now, let's add materials. In the top right of the viewport, choose Material Preview so you see colors live. Drag the bottom panel up and switch it from Timeline to Shader Editor. If you haven't enabled Node Wrangler, go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, search Node Wrangler, and enable it.
All right, let's make this cup look fancy with some ceramic goodness. Start by selecting the cup, go to the Material tab, and click New. For the base color, choose a nice light blue, clean and classy. Next, lower the roughness, decrease the IOR just a bit, and in the subsurface section, bump the weight up to around 0.5. That'll give it a soft, slightly translucent look like real porcelain. Now, crank the anisotropy up to about 0.2 for that subtle, glossy directionality. In the specular section, click on Tint, then adjust the hue to around 0.5, saturation all the way to 1, and value to about 0.8. It'll add a gentle color tint to the reflections. Small touch, but makes it feel alive. Time for some texture magic. Press Shift plus A, add a noise texture. Then press Ctrl plus T, Node Wrangler for the win, to get the texture coordinate and mapping nodes. Click and drag the FAC output of the noise into empty space. From the appearing panel, search for Color Ramp. To preview what's going on, click on the Color Ramp node and hit Ctrl-Shift-Click. Now you can see the noise pattern. Drag the left handle closer to the middle, then tweak the scale, detail, and roughness on the noise texture until you got a nice ceramic-like variation. When you're happy, hit Ctrl-Shift-Click on the principled BSDF to return to your final output. Now connect the color ramp output to roughness. Boom! Subtle surface imperfections. Makes it look real, not like plastic. And here's a Blender life hack. Select the cup base and handle, then shift-select the saucer, press Ctrl-L, and choose Link Materials. Bam! Everything instantly shares the same ceramic shader. Now it looks like a proper set. All right, time for the star of the show, the tea itself. Select the tea mesh, go to the Material tab, and hit New. For the base color, pick a nice warm reddish brown. Think black tea that's been brewing for a while. Lower the roughness a lot so it has that watery sheen, and then reduce the alpha a bit so it looks slightly see-through. Now it's starting to look drinkable. But we're not stopping there. Let's add some surface detail to make it less flat. Select the cube, the sugar cube we added earlier. Click New to give it its own material. Now press Shift+A, add a noise texture, and with Node Wrangler, Ctrl+T, we instantly get our texture, coordinate, and mapping nodes. Nice shortcut, right? Take the FAC output from the noise texture, drag it into empty space, and add a color ramp. To preview it, select the color ramp and press Ctrl+Shift+Click, and now we can see the noise pattern. Slide the left handle toward the middle, then tweak the scale, detail, and roughness on the noise texture until you get that sugary crystal effect. When you're happy, hit Ctrl+Shift+Click on the principled BSDF to return to your final output. Now for the final touch, drag the output of the color ramp into empty space, search for a bump node, and connect its normal output straight into the normal input of the principled BSDF. Boom! Instant grainy sugar surface. It's the tiny details like this that make everything pop on render. All right, time to bring this whole scene to life with some lighting. Without good lighting, even the best model looks like a gray blob. So let's fix that. Switch over to Render Preview mode so we can see the magic happening in real time. From the front view, press Shift+A and add an area light. Scale it down with S, place it in the top right corner, and rotate it so it's pointing toward the cup. Now jump to the top view. Move the light forward and rotate it again so it's shining right at our little tea star. In the Light tab, crank up the power and change the color to a soft, warm yellow. This acts like our key light, the main source. Next, duplicate it with Shift+D. Move this second light over to the left side, scale it up, and give it a cool light blue tint. This adds some contrast and balances the warmth from the first light. Think of it like yin and yang, but with photons. Finally, let's add a third light for some background glow. Select the first right side light, duplicate it again, and move it behind the cup from the top view. Press Alt+R to clear its rotation, then rotate it 90 degrees so it's facing the cup directly. In the settings, shrink the angle from 180 down to around 15 or even lower. And that's it, a classic 3-point lighting setup. Now our scene looks less like a mugshot and more like a beauty shot. That's it. The scene is lit, materials are set, and the render is ready. Save your file now, Ctrl+S, don't lose your work. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please like the video and leave a comment telling me what to model next. And if you're not subscribed, why not? Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, happy blending!